buy the one that's on sale.
Yeah.
And I mixed the K18 in because it's like a thicker, kind of like opaque thing that I do use slightly more of.
Yeah.
And those two mixed together, that went great.
They work really well for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What do you mix it with?
It depends on the day. Like, I have so many products there. I always like to cocktail. So when I'm like applying wet hair product, I like to cocktail an oil with some sort of cream.
Okay.
So the styling creams will help with like making sure it disperses that oil really evenly into the hair. It's rare where I'll put a oil by itself in my hand and put it in the hair.
Okay.
The only time I really do that is if, say, it's like dry hair and the ends are frizzy, or you just need like a little bit of like something to help fight and combat it.
I feel like that's me.
Right now you are frizzy.
I know.
I think it's just dryness. Everyone is really dry right now. And I think that's just the season.
I can make it look better than this. Like, I didn't do my hair before coming here, in that I didn't like put anything on it and make an attempt to create the illusion that it's not frizzy.
Yeah.
So I can make it like appear better, but this is kind of how it wants to behave in its natural state.
This is how she lives.
Exactly.
I mean, your hair's in good shape. It's not bad. But like when I was brushing it, I could see it, like the static electricity coming through.
Oh yeah, the static is a big old problem.
Yeah. So that's when you use like a styling cream helps a lot, because it's gonna help with those flyaways, those frizzies, and then like second day hair, if you're gonna go and like flat iron it using like a thermal spray. So those thermal sprays, they help with like holding the style of frizziness, and then they're gonna protect your hair from
Okay.
that. So I'll show you the one that I've been loving. It's a Rust Thermal Flat Iron. It's amazing.
Nice.
So it has a little bit of a hold in it, so you don't need to use a hairspray after it, which is
Oh cool.
really, really nice.
Are you selling it?
I can give you like the online for Rust, and like almost all brands, Quaj, Rust, Draco, they all have now online stores on Amazon.
Okay.
So it's verified, like it's their store that they work with.
You can
Amazon.
trust it.
You can trust it. And when you go onto it, you can tell. Have you ever gone onto like a specific store on Amazon and seen that like it's their own platform on there?
Yeah, I think you might have actually taught me that maybe last time, where it's like a good way to figure out if you should be buying this on Amazon or not.
Yes. Yeah, because it'll take you like, it has its own landing page, it almost looks like.
Right, where you can go like, you're now only browsing that brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Rust, we have that as well. We have our Rust
That's nice.
website as well. And then, I'm trying to think. I know our sister brand Aquaj is sold at Ulta. So I can also give you like our sister brand version of the thermal protector.
Oh, so those are,
Yes, they're sister brands.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I do a lot of stuff for Aquaj and Rust.
Cool.
Yeah, and then like if you ever go into Sally's, our third sister brand is called One and Only.
One and only.
One and Only. So those are the three that we have underneath our umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is all of the Rust stuff going?
So good. So good. I'm excited for the new year. Staying busy. We're getting everything geared up for classes, education, everything that we're going to be doing.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I'm excited for everything that's going to happen. Turn that down. How's everything going with you?
Oh, good. Just kind of maximum busy,
Okay.
which is not my favorite.
Is it
I
like,
think it's like a season of life where everything is just so demanding, because it's like a little bit time of year. Like my job gets really chaotic at this time of year, because I have to write a whole bunch of annual reviews. But then my direct reports are also people leaders, so I have to then, like edit their annual reviews
yeah,
because they're newer people leaders, and so that's just like all on top of the regular amount of work. And then my kids are 2 and 5, which are those are just needy ages.
it's a lot. You're at like that tunnel though.
It's
like,
we're about to cross over.
yes, you're getting there. Where like the independence is gonna start coming through. Gets a little bit easier.
Right. The 5-year-old still kind of regresses.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think the 2-year-old, like, and the attention that he gets makes the 5-year-old be like, well, I'll act that way then. And I'm like, oh my god.
gosh.
But also he's just for his whole life been this like tightly wound little, I mean, I think it'll be a neat trait once he's a little more regulated. But
Right
for
now, it's a
now,
lot.
he doesn't have his skills of like how does he cope without melting down when things don't go exactly how he thinks they should.
Yep.
He's like a funny little type A where I'm like, where did you come from, child?
I love it. Very
So-
specific on things.
So specific, so particular, so not chill. And the younger one seems to be like,
The opposite?
yeah, which I think is kind of normal, but
Yeah.
but so like the 5-year-old, I think I can see all the potential for like how kids this age are getting so much lower maintenance, and he will just like sometimes not seem 5
Oh, yeah.
because it's like I don't know, all the specificity and all of the intensity comes out in the form of a tantrum that I'm like, I thought we should have like graduated from this.
Yeah, I thought we were done with this.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, do we have like a little streak of autism in here? I think- Because I think that there's so much more of a spectrum for that than people
It's
really,
massive.
like,
Massive.
the amount of us that are, like, well, we're all on the spectrum.
Yep.
And to think that everybody's, it's like, it's not a yes or no question, but I'm like,
It's where.
yeah.
It's where, yeah.
So there's just certain little like traits that I've been watching. I've even had his pediatrician kind of on the lookout for it.
Yep.
But I mean, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. Like if he is more on the spectrum than I realize, like he's high functioning, I would say.
Yeah.
Like he does a great job at school. It's like he'll do really well, and then in his greatest comfort zone, like at home with his parents, with his family, that's where we get his biggest emotions.
Yep.
But we're not getting like reports from school that this is falling apart. They're like, he's really compliant.
It's usually, it happens, I hear, it's like, you know, if they're comfortable, that's where they feel okay to let those emotions go that they've been holding in. And it's not a bad thing, it's hard to deal with, but, you know, the fact that they're okay with being themselves 100% in front of you is a good thing.
Right. It's like an important responsibility to like, thank you for showing me your full emotional experience.
Yeah, yourself.
And I view it as like my job to help give him the skills to,
Absolutely.
like, you have big feelings, like how are we gonna cope with those?
Through it, yeah.
I don't want to just teach him that your big feelings are not acceptable, so get them away from me.
Yes. Because then that's when they go into their little ball, they hide, and then issues happen with that.
Exactly. So I'm like, keep showing this to me, but we've got to talk about like what can we do?
Yeah, working through it in a way that's productive,
Totally.
and you know how to handle it when it hits versus like pure chaos. And I think that's the issue that happened, you know, in our generation growing up. It was so taboo, all of this.
Oh yeah.
You didn't talk
Parents
about
were just
it.
like,
Suck it up, buttercup.
Away with this. Like,
Yeah.
time out. Get your shit together.
Yeah, we're not dealing with this at all. You're crazy. So
And, yeah, now we're all like, I know gentle parenting gets a bad rap, but I think it's not like pushoverness. It's like you've got to,
it's being, I think, dialed in.
yeah, we're giving people life skills.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's needed. And seeing the spectrum, it's like, you know, the first time I talked with our pediatrician, because Harper has hard times with sounds and certain, you know.
Oh, like
things
sensory type?
yeah, very
things?
sensory. Like we'll bring earplugs with us
Oh,
to like
that's good,
amusement
yeah.
parks and stuff like that. And it was her going, okay, there's a spectrum, and it's not to say, oh, they're full, you know, autistic, but there's a huge spectrum, and it's like, where do they land on it?
Totally.
And that is so nice to have conversations now versus like we just said. It's just, you're a troublemaker, you have issues, stop it.
Exactly. So it's a whole journey, but
Getting through it.
yeah. So that's just kind of when work's a lot, and then that's a lot, and then my husband's mother is in the process of moving here,
Really?
and he's an only child, so
Yeah.
she's got a lot of kind of needs
Yep.
related to that,
Mhm.
and he kind of,
Are you ready for this?
well, I think so. He should deal with her better. He kind of occasionally gets fed up with everything and is like, she'll figure it out. Like, I'm not dealing with this. But I'm like, well, you have to.
Yeah.
So then I'll kind of do it because I feel bad that he's,
Not stepping in.
yeah. So, like, I do that to myself, but it's like one of my values. Of like, we need to be
Yeah.
supportive to her. Like, who else is going to do it?
Yep.
So that's kind of a life event unfolding.
Well, you bring the softness to the situation, it sounds like.
Try to. And yeah, so he's like, just kind of, I'm like, is this, because you're an only child, she's needier, but like, are you responding to this poorly because you're an only child?
Oh, I get it.
Like, kind of this entitlement of like, I shouldn't have to deal with you. I'm like, why are you this way?
It's a very common thing with only children and how they react and act to stuff.
Right.
Because everything revolved around them all the time.
Totally.
And so when it doesn't, it's foreign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, if you've never had it revolve around you, it's foreign to see a reaction like that.
Absolutely.
Where you're like, what are you even doing right now?
Do you not have like empathy?
Right. So that's all kind of an interesting dynamic
For sure.
that plays out. So yeah, good times. I'm excited though for like the 2-year-old. You've got to think like this is the calendar year that he will become potty trained.
Yes.
And then my household will say goodbye to diapers.
Yes.
And I feel like that's such a moment.
That's a total moment. That's
Like all these like wipes and changing stations and like
pull-ups and
all the stuff. Yeah.
It goes away. However, I feel like the potty training stage is so hard. It's so hard. And then when they're so little still, when they go in the toilets in the public bathroom, that is the hardest thing to deal with.
Disaster. They touch everything.
Everything. So that's why like I got one of those potty seat covers that I put in this little bag.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
And then I would take sticky notes with me. And I put the sticky notes over the sensors.
Oh, that's smart.
Because Harper, with her senses, if it flushed,
it'll like spray you and then it's game over.
And the sound of it,
she's
so
afraid.
Loud. Yeah. So it's like, all right, we have our sticky note stack, we have our potty cover.
We are ready for the bathroom.
We are ready. And then I always kept a, you know, like their little potties that they use. I would keep one in my trunk.
That's a great.
So if we were like out at the park or somewhere where it wasn't accessible.
Or like an outhouse.
Yes.
Then it's like, let's just go to the car real quick.
Yep. Like I remember we went to the Renaissance Fair and I was like, there is no way I'm putting her in one of those.
Totally.
Oh.
Look at this. What a high maintenance little section of hair.
Right? But I was able to actually get in there and foil.
Cool.
So that's a great sign with your postpartum hair.
Versus like before it would be more like we could make it blonde little like shaved patch almost.
Trying to find like little patches of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like the last thing I want is for it to look like breakage, and it's definitely not going to be that.
Right, because if it looks like breakage and then you turn that part bright blonde, it's like, look at this part.
Right? Look at that hair that just snapped right off.
Totally. You never do that, but that's it. Like people do though, and they don't mean to.
No.
It's like an easy mistake to make, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's complicated.
It's like you have to be very methodical with your placement with postpartum. And I think that like I've just been dealing with the era of lots of postpartum in here. It's just a common like muscle memory now when I go into hairlines.
Yeah, but you could see how somebody without much
training
work on that is now dealing with it, thinking like, well, let's just.
They try to place it and then the foils slip and then it's like, it can make it even more damaged and make it not want to grow.
Right. And I don't know if like they don't know that they're out of their league until they see the product and are like, uh-oh.
Yeah, they're like, what went wrong here?
Right. Or if it's like, they just don't want to, I don't think you'd ever want to have a client to be like, I'm gonna like refer you somewhere else. I can't do this. Like, I don't think anyone has ever done that.
No.
You just kind of feel like, well, you're here, let's make it happen.
Let's try to make it happen. See, I have like, if a new client reaches out to me and they're like, I want rainbow hair. Oh, I refer them out.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Is that because you just
It's
don't
not
want to
it's not my specialty.
Okay.
I do tons and tons of training and education on blonde, lived in color. And then I feel like the Vivids and the rainbow hair is such like a different spectrum of education and products that you need to keep.
You gotta kind of specialize in it.
Yeah, and specializing in it is so important. It's like, you know, the amount of products I keep, and if I had to keep that amount of product on top of like Vivid color, it'd be insane.
That's a good point. You need to like start advertising that this is your thing, so that otherwise they're just gonna expire on the shelf while you wait for a couple people to need it.
Exactly. So that's why like I'll do like, it's called watercolor. I'll take pigment and I'll put it into a toner bottle and I add water to it and I shake it up and apply it, and it's a very like translucent, like say purple or
Oh,
pink.
just like a really subtle.
Yeah, and then it washes out pretty easily and
Okay.
soft. So I'll do stuff like that, but if they're wanting like intense like rainbow hair, I'll send them to one of my friends who's a specialist, and like she will do the best job for you, and the enjoyment of it. Like I enjoy doing what I'm doing right now on your hair. Like this is my bread and butter. If I had to do vivid hair, I would hate my life the entire application.
Yeah.
I just don't find any like fun in it. So I think that's like the difference of it.
That's powerful, like with experience,
Yeah.
because when you don't have that, I think people just feel like they need to be everything.
Yes, they have to do it all and get it done. It's like I don't do men's haircuts for that reason too.
Like it doesn't mean you can't. You're just
Mhm.
choosing that this is not how you want to spend your time.
Yep. And then therefore, I think it shows in your work. When you're happy with what you're doing,
Right.
your work is better.
Totally.
Versus if like, I can tell when a stylist does not like what they're doing. It's not saying the work is bad, but you can definitely tell the difference between someone who enjoys doing men's cuts and one that doesn't.
Yeah.
The quality of it is much higher.
Totally. That makes sense. I'll have to figure that out between my two boys. Right now, we just go to the place where they get to sit in an airplane.
Well, once they're ready, I have a barber shop that's right on Lincoln and Jordan.
Okay.
It's called Brixton Barbers. The owner, Nick, he's a friend of mine, and every single husband, son, they all go there.
Awesome.
So you can send them there. It's like a,
I could try to send my husband there already.
yeah, send him.
Because he
He'll
does,
love it.
like, he is kind of, he's not willing to do any research to find a good place. So then he'll just, like, wander into Floyd's.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And that's, like,
Hit or
every now
miss.
and then you get a good one.
Yeah.
But often it's like, oh boy.
Yep,
They're
it's not
still
consistent.
learning.
Yeah. So it's Brixton Barbers. Ask for Nick. I can text you this
Is
too.
it Brixton?
Yep, Brixton, and Nick is the owner. Let him know that Katie sent him. He will
Cool.
be taken very well care of.
That is great. He's got, like, balding
Mm-hmm.
going on. It's not so much that he's, like, leaned into being a bald person at all.
He needs a good cut. that
But
kind
it's
of-
like male pattern baldness
Yes.
of like the receding front and then like the patch on the top crown.
Yes.
And it's like not totally bald, it's just like thin.
Yep.
But it's getting worse. So it's becoming like the haircut quality makes a big difference in how good or bad that looks.
Yeah, it's how they cut it and how they direct the hair, where they keep the fullness or they remove full. It can
Yeah.
kind of camouflage that male
Right.
balding, which is really
We can't
cool.
fix it,
Can't
but
fix it. We can camouflage it.
but certain cuts certainly like help it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Nick would be great for them.
Does he do them all or is it a lot of people?
It's a full barber shop.
Okay, so
So,
there's a lot of people
There's a
doing
lot
different
of people. So say he can't get in with Nick, anyone that's there is trained,
ones. Okay.
and they're all really well trained.
So he doesn't need to ask for Nick, he could just like see whatever
Mhm.
works.
Yeah, you could do that as well. And then your kiddos, once they're ready, there you go.
Yeah, as soon as they can sit still without like a Netflix show on or something.
Right. It's cute though. I don't know if Nick does it at his barbershop, but my friend who has a barbershop in Denver, they take a skateboard and they flip it upside down and they put it over the barber chair and the kids sit on it.
Oh,
It's like what props them up. It's the cutest
that's
thing.
fun.
Right?
What a good little idea.
Uh-huh. Nest the hairline a little bit more on this side. What are you doing after this?
I've got to do the second half of the workday.
Okay.
I don't have anything crazy like big meetings or anything, and I'll do it from home because we don't have childcare this week.
Yeah.
So that is, I don't know how everybody does this.
It's hard.
I mean, I guess once your kids are a little bit older, they're more self-sufficient on these days that they're home.
Yeah.
And then, because how old is Harper now?
She's 9 now.
So 9-year-olds can't stay home alone though. You still have to like be there if she's there, right?
Yep.
When do we start leaving kids home alone?
So I want to say, like with my oldest daughter who's 22, we started to test the waters like 5th grade. Like I would test it in a sense where like if I needed to run to the store real quick.
Okay.
And then I think she felt really comfortable in middle school.
Okay.
But that's when in 5th grade I started with small trips. I remember I scared the poop out of her one time. So I'm like, okay, nobody's allowed at the door, went through the whole thing. And I get home, and I'm trying to rummage and get the right key out, but I have my hands full of like groceries.
Oh yeah.
And I go to open the door, and the poor thing had a chair pulled up to the peephole because she heard noise.
Oh no.
And she couldn't see who was at the window, and she was freaking out. So I go to like fly open the door, and I almost take her out because she's standing on the chair.
Poor thing.
I was like, it's okay. I was like, from now on, I'll knock that I'm home, and I'll say it's mom.
Right. Because you don't even think about that.
No.
Oh my gosh. Good for her though, being really diligent.
Right? She's like, I'm gonna check out this sound.
She's got all of her senses on alert.
Right? She's like, mom's not home. Stranger danger.
That's nice. And you guys live in Parker, right?
We live let me explain from here. So you know Arapahoe right up here?
Yes.
So if you were to get on Arapahoe and you head east on it, down in that direction, I'm down towards like Southlands Mall.
Okay.
So Southlands Mall is like our backyard essentially.
Got it. So is that an Aurora address?
Yeah, I hate that it's an Aurora dress because it's not really Aurora. It's like the edge of it, but an
Right.
Aurora dress, yeah. It's
But you still have to like see it on paper all the time.
I hate it. Yep.
I understand. And then, but there's some really nice
It's super
sections
nice.
of that, like it's not like the heart of Aurora.
And that's why I tell people, I'm like, it's not Aurora because our neighbor, we have multi-million homes, $1 million homes in our neighborhood, and we have a golf course, and we have the mall, so it's definitely not like what you would think of Aurora.
Yeah, it's like reformatting.
Yeah, it's
That-
a different area. Like there's old Aurora, and that is right where like the theater is, that all that happened at.
Okay.
And then over in our direction is the new Aurora, and it's such a huge, like, to get over to the theater from my house, it takes 30 minutes.
Okay.
Like, Aurora
That's
is massive.
it really is.
They need to, like, I feel like rezone it, because, like, we're technically Arapahoe County unincorporated
Okay.
when it comes to, like, the court systems.
Interesting.
It's a weird little spot.
What schools do you feed into?
Cherry Creek.
Okay.
So we got, because Cherry Creek is, like, one of the top schools in the nation. So
Yeah.
we have Grandview High School, we have Cherokee Trail High School, and we have Eagle Crest, and they're, I think, on the top 10 list of high schools in the nation.
That's great.
Yeah, so we love our area so much.
So the school districts, like the elementary school
Mhm.
that Harper's in,
Mhm.
you're loving all
I
that?
love it. It's a really good school. Like her teacher, they have this system, and she text messages us every single day. She sends pictures of what the kids are up to.
Oh, that's so cool.
And like, because how they read and do math is so different than what we do.
Oh yeah, it's like a foreign thing.
It's foreign. So she'll actually take pictures of like what they're doing in class and like what she shares with the kids to teach them, so that we can take it home and like use it for them. They have tons of events. It's just really, I mean, I'm happy with it. You know?
That's so great.
Yeah, it's a great school.
I'm over on like the west side of Highlands Ranch,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's all Douglas County.
Yep.
And those have like historically been highly regarded schools,
Yeah.
but they are like, I guess the whole district is or the whole area is like aging out.
Yes.
So there's a lot of shrinkage going on.
Yeah.
So it's not going to affect us this year, but like
Potentially.
my 5-year-old has the birthday that's right on the cusp where like he could have been the super youngest in kindergarten or the oldest.
Oh.
So we
okay.
went the oldest route.
Yep.
And he's really tall, so he like looks bigger than the other kids. But
Yep.
I think from an emotional standpoint, like I hear boys do better with the like being a little bit older.
Mhm.
So he'll go to kindergarten in the fall, but then they have been warning us like we might have to get consolidated.
Oh.
Then
yes.
the next year, like a school might merge into ours, or ours could close and we merge into a different one. So that's kind of like an unfortunate event for first grade,
Fair.
but not much we can do about that.
You just gotta write it out.
And it was, I mean, I'd rather something get consolidated into this. There's, I guess, like a 30% chance nothing will happen
Mhm.
because of all of the feeder elementary schools into this particular high school, like 2 of them will be unscathed and the others need to merge. And, but I guess Highlands Ranch has just been there for, like, a lot of those kids are going to college or in college.
Yep.
And, but the families aren't old enough yet that they're, like, moving out.
Mhm.
So they're in this funny spot where, like, the community hasn't turned over to the, like, a new, younger
Yeah.
generation.
Yep.
So we're in this funny little, which shows like we've got this great cul-de-sac, but on both sides of us we've got retired people. So there, of all the houses in the cul-de-sac, there's like 3 or 4 total have kids, and then there's like 6 or 7 more that are like the older people. So it doesn't have that like kids everywhere vibe.
And see, that's what ours is, like literally.
I love that.
It's Kid Nation. When you go outside, so like directly across from us, a little girl named Hannah, and she's in Harper's class right now. She was in also Harper's first grade class. And then right next door to Hannah, we have the twins that are a grade older. And then to the corner of us, we have Olivia, Cece, and Amelia. And like, I swear, everywhere you turn, it's kids. And we're literally right down the street from the elementary, but we do have a bus that comes. And so the bus just does one stop and drops them all off. And it's like a lot of kids, and they're all in our neighborhood, and it's just awesome.
I think that's so fun.
It really
I
is.
had a neighborhood like that growing up, and it made it just, I don't know. It's good to feel like you're part of a village.
That's exactly it. And like we do so many events. Like they did right before summer was done, they did a Ninja Warrior event, and they had the Ninja Warrior show up at our park.
Awesome.
They set up everything, and then you have all like the vendors of the small businesses come. And then in summertime, I think it's every other Friday or something like that, we do a movie at the park.
Ooh.
And so there's a big screen set up, and the kids come.
What a cool
And then we
thing
do-
to just have provided.
It's right there, yeah. We
Yeah.
have Food Truck Tuesdays. So if you don't want to make dinner, the food trucks come in. It's in my neighborhood because we have the big park,
Ooh, cool.
which is really nice.
So you just know every Tuesday you can see what the food trucks got going on.
And they come with desserts. Like you have the Kona Ice, you have
Sweet.
all the good food trucks, and then the pool when the pool's open. We had mermaids show up, passing out
How
popsicles.
fun. Just like magic
Yeah.
surprises unfold.
It really is. So they do good, and then we have like our social committee. They have like a moms club where they'll set up like different events at the clubhouse. Like there was one where we went and it was making plants with your kids. So you bring your kids and you get to socialize with all the other moms in the neighborhood and meet them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a very, I love our neighborhood.
Yeah, it's such good vibes. I'm hoping we can kind of evolve a little bit more into that, or that once we get plugged into the elementary schools,
you can
we're
get
gonna
that.
see more. Like I'm sure it's like 2 streets down, more. Like it might just be a smidge more spread because you get kind of sequestered in a cul-de-sac,
Yes.
and I'm sure I just don't know what is like in a 5 mile, or not 5 mile, that's a long ways, like a 5-minute walking radius.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a whole open space behind us, like trails, and the trail actually goes right to the park, right to the school.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's why I hope that I'd rather them get consolidated into,
Yes.
because we won't have them walking there like in kindergarten and 1st grade, but he would for sure be walkable down the path. But it's not even the cars can't even go on them. So
That's nice.
you still have like human danger, but you don't have to worry about like traffic.
Yeah, which cuts down a little bit of the worrisome.
Yeah. So it's a cool setup, but it's kind of like we're on the back end of like too many old people.
Yeah, and it's just waiting.
So with the elementary school, it's just like, okay, let's meet people and find out like what street do you live on, because they have to be close to feed into it.
Yep.
And then the neighbors, they're truly old enough that I'm like, any minute now, you guys need to probably like not live here anymore.
Yeah, it's just too that age.
Right, like
Yeah.
the ambulance will come because like the hip came out again or something. And I'm like, oh my god, you guys, like when are we gonna go to like a retirement community?
Yes. Well, and that's what's really cool with our community too. So I call it they're building divorcee, I call them apartments. They're like luxury apartments in our neighborhood.
Oh, fun.
And then right across from the street from that, we have a retirement community, like full everything they need.
So you can get a divorce, you can get old,
Your
you
in-laws,
can
everything.
totally.
It's all right there.
So is that like people are moving out of their house in the neighborhood, but like staying close?
Yeah, I feel like it's a mix. I feel like it's like in-laws that like want to be close to the family. They have their full retirement community, like it's within our community.
Yeah.
And then if they're aging out and they want more assistance, it's right there.
Totally. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
setup. That's the benefit of like being in newer type areas, because all of the houses, we had to do a ton of remodel. Well, we didn't have to, but like we bought this house knowing like we're committed to a whole remodel operation,
That's right.
because
yeah.
it was in 1997,
Okay.
which is in my brain. I'm like, that's not that long ago, but in reality, it's
When we
like
look at it,
that's 28 years ago.
was there anything done prior to updates to it before you moved in?
I think they did some update, like a few silly little things, like also a long time ago, maybe like 2004. And it was bad though. There was like carpet in the bathrooms and
yeah.
just, it needed a lot. So we haven't been able to do like a kitchen redo yet. But we took care of all the bathrooms. That was like a huge priority to me, is like, I just can't deal with a gross bathroom.
Nope.
And
Especially carpet in the bathroom.
oh yeah, that's just like a total deal breaker, because there's no amount of like feeling like I've cleaned that enough.
Totally. Yeah.
So the bathrooms were the priority. We did new floors and new paint in the whole house,
Okay.
which was important because they had like a lot of. They even had like the house had been a rental for a period of time, which is like red flag.
Oh, yeah.
So there were various pets in and out. Like my husband has allergies, so we don't know if the kids do because we don't have a pet right now.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a journey of figuring out like who's allergic to what. But
Yeah.
before moving in here, to get rid of any window coverings, carpets, like repaint, it was kind of like a full refresh.
Yeah.
So now we've got just like the very expensive kitchen remaining, and that's both like annoying to do because it messes with daily living quite a whole lot.
It's hard. Yeah.
But it'll be worth it whenever we get to it.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients that they like plan family vacations for like the big gut on the vacation.
Ooh,
kitchen,
yeah, that's smart.
where
Just
they
be gone.
leave and they're gone for like the big part.
You gotta like really have a good contractor to do
Yes,
that.
one that you trust for sure.
Because I learned a lot in, like when we bought this, I thought, like this is totally fine that I have no experience with any like remodeling or skills because I'm not doing any DIY.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I learned is like hiring this out is a whole other time consuming skill, because some people, like nobody will like really teach you what you're doing wrong.
That's the
And
truth,
it's
yeah.
easy to look at the general contractors and be like, what are you for? Like,
Yes.
I can do that.
Yep.
You cannot do, well, you can, but like, you've got to understand that, like, you're going to pay for this either with your time or with your money.
That
So,
is it, yeah.
like,
It's one or
which
the other.
version of this do you want to do? And that hadn't quite sunken in. I'm like, okay, so if you don't have the time, you do need a general contractor, because I like the fact that the electrician and the plumber are arguing about who needs to come first, and one canceled and now the other one can't do their job, and this is entirely my problem, is like the biggest nightmare I've ever been a part of.
Totally. You're like, no.
Right. Meanwhile, like the general contractor's whole existence is like, that is by definition their problem.
Yep.
So I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yep.
So learned a couple things, got smarter. Now I'm like ready.
I love it. You learn along the way. That's how we did. Like when we did our back deck, a ton of us got taken advantage of, because like we have our Facebook group
Oh yeah.
for our community, and this individual was like, hey, I do concrete work, and a bunch of us are wanting to get our decks built out, because majority of the homes are new builds.
Right. So you've got to like do all your hardscaping.
Yeah, so he like came, did quote, brought his kid, he was great. I was like, okay, you live in the community, if you're on our group,
You think like he would care about his brand and his reputation.
does
and-
not live in the community.
Oh no.
Was
He's
one of
just,
those
like,
that just
in
got
there.
accepted in, and he was just like pouring and going with concrete
Oh.
and taking people's money. Like I had to blow them up, like 3 texts a day, phone calls,
What a nightmare.
because everything was just torn apart. And then there was other people that were like, have you worked with so and so? We're having issues with them showing back up, like they did the jackhammer, broke down all that, and they haven't come back yet. And it was so rough. So I'm like,
So
all right.
disappointing.
So now we're lucky now. Our neighbor who lives across from us, he's a general contractor.
Oh cool.
So like when we needed our new roof after like the big hail happened the other year,
Yeah.
he made sure that was taken care of. We got our paint taken care of. So I'm like, now we have the person that you need to know,
Right.
who has all the good people,
And people are so much more responsive to general contractors.
Yes.
Because they know that more jobs can come from them.
Yep.
Whereas like these homeowners, it's like you need them once, and then in theory, unless you move, you're not going to contact them for 15 more years.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's a whole game, but
It really is. And
it's hard to not feel like though, like when you don't know, you're just so on the lookout for like getting taken advantage of.
that's so bad. But that's how you feel. You're like, okay, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna pull? And then you're trying to like protect yourself along the way. Like, all right, they need the second half of the payment.
Yeah.
Are they gonna finish it? Do we like our guys? I gave them the second half of the payment when they came to finish pouring, but then they didn't come and actually finish like their little details. You know that. matter.
Totally. It's like you need to have something withheld,
to hold them to it.
which is so unfortunate. And you understand why they want to be paid up front. Like everybody's interests are at odds with each other
Yeah.
because they're like, well, how many jobs have I done that I haven't gotten paid for?
Yes.
And you're like, well, how many jobs have I paid for that haven't gotten done?
Yeah.
And it's like this bad cycle.
Yeah. The joys of being a homeowner, right?
Totally. But we finally found a company that
Good.
kind of like does it. They don't do it all, but like the things they
They
don't
work
do,
with
they
them.
have their contractors. So
They know somebody.
yes,
Designate
and
somebody.
they're awesome. And the only downside to them is if you like hook up something you want to do, they're like constantly like 8 months out.
I mean, that's a good thing.
It is.
But a hard thing.
Right.
You're like, okay, they're doing their job good if they're out like that.
Yeah,
then
but you
you're
need to have an idea really early.
you're like, I want this done. All right, we're not going to get some instant gratification. We got to wait on this one.
Totally. Like our gas stove is like falling apart right now. And I'm like, oh man, I want to call them and be like, I've got a safety issue emerging. Maybe you could just like refer me to somebody that is less booked than you, but you still trust or something like that. Because
Absolutely.
the knobs are like not reliable anymore. So and one of them popped off. So I'm afraid that like in cleaning it or something, if you
It's
just
gonna-
like you have to light it with a lighter now. Like you
Yep.
turn the gas on and then you
You hit
use
that
the
point.
lighter. And like this is scary because if it accidentally were knocked on,
Oh, God, yeah.
then you've got this like natural gas which is like slowly coming into the home. Like you can die from that. So
Yeah.
we need to put a stop to it. It's like I was ready to remodel the whole kitchen, but this stove has become an emergency.
All right. First things first.
I know, but then it always, like, one thing leads to another, and they're like, well, we can't do the stove if we're not going to redo the counter around the stove, and
Well, and then it's thinking about the stove. Are you going to get a full new stove to match the new appliances? Or are you going to get all new appliances?
exactly.
So, like, microwave, fridge to match it.
Yeah, so it's like, well, if you're not doing everything all at once, you need to kind of pretend you are, and then map out the future, so it's all a giant mess.
Well, and then the deals that you get when you do get, like, stove, microwave, and refrigerator together.
Totally. The bundles are just like, make the rest not make sense, and then before you know it, you're remodeling your kitchen and you didn't mean to.
That's the truth.
So, we'll see. I'm on the cusp of, like, I'm about to open the can of worms.
Get it going. Yep.
Totally. My stepdad was out for Christmas. He's very like handy,
Yes.
and he kind of left with this like, "Hey, like your stove is an emergency. Like,
All right.
fix this." I'm like, "You want to come? I'll like buy your plane ticket. Like, live at my
Right.
house, and
Come help a girl out.
yeah, you can do it."
Mhm.
And he's a bit like, "No, I retired for a reason, but I'm telling you,
This needs to be done.
yeah, like I'm looking out for your family's safety. Fix this." But that's okay. He's always been he's one of the do-it-yourselfers that's like legitimately good.
Yeah.
Because he is hired for all of this. So when he then does it for himself, it's like he's always been a blue collar, like works for a big fence company, but then also like worked with the electricians and worked with the everything. So
Okay.
I grew up like not having to hire everything out because he was always doing.
Yep.
I mean, as a kid, you don't care if things are being hired out, but I got this like false sense of how capable regular people are
Yes.
in the house where I, like years ago would look at my husband and be like, "Hey, we need to fix our oven," and he'd be like, "Okay, what do you want to do about that?
Right.
Like, aren't you gonna just like, I don't know, doesn't that live in your brain? Like, do that."
Wave a wand.
Yeah. So it's a lifetime trade.
Yes.
It is easy to take for granted if you've always like seen it present.
Yes, that's for sure. I think that goes for any trades. If you've grown up and had it around you at like such an easy, like my girls getting their hair done whenever they want, essentially.
Oh, true.
I'm like, God forbid if something happened to me, they'd be like, what do I do? And they'll have sticker shock, you know.
Totally. They're gonna go pay full price for like and they might go down the journey of like not paying full price.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then be like, wow, turns out you get what you pay for.
Right. The truth in that one.
You have to, like, that's just true in every industry.
Yeah. Well, and it's like my mother-in-law. So I've had this full conversation with her. So she lives in Vegas. I've been cutting her hair since like I was in beauty school.
Oh yeah.
So she's always had me do her hair, and
And
she,
it's mother-in-law, so it's like a complicated dynamic.
yes, and she loves what I do. And the issue is when Harper was first born, she was coming out here like every other month. You know?
Oh yeah.
And now it's slowed down. She's getting older, and so she's like, I'm gonna go to my friend's hairstylist, and then she's always mad. She's like, I don't like what they do. So then I have some really talented friends out there, and I send her. She still doesn't like it, and I'm like, okay,
Oh
mom.
man.
I said, okay. So I charge $140 an hour. It takes an hour for me to cut your hair. You need to go find somebody in the same price point as me. What?
Oh my gosh. And she's like not having it.
Sticker shock. So now we have her where I'm cutting her shorter, her hair when she comes out.
Oh, so it lasts longer because she just can't be served by anyone else.
Nope. Nope.
Unbelievable.
I'm like, oh woman.
Because there's like a whole other way she could look at it, which is like you haven't paid for this for years and years and years, so now you could in fact splurge and be like net positive on your lifetime of how much people typically spend on hair.
And the thing is, this woman, like I think I told you, my
People
father-in-law.
with money are the worst.
Yeah, and my father-in-law is a retired attorney for Walt Disney.
Oh wow.
She
They're
would
doing
go,
fine,
yeah,
yeah.
she would go to a celebrity stylist out in California, and she got her hair done. So
Okay.
she
gets
knows.
it.
I'm like, stop being. Take care of
Yeah.
yourself. Take care of yourself.
Something happens to people as they age though, where like when the money isn't coming in the way it used to, I
Yeah.
think like real panic sets in over like, is this gonna run out?
Yeah, because that going back to work fear. I could imagine those people that work in their 70s and 80s, like.
Oh yeah, like we gotta do this right because I
Yeah.
can't be doing the back half of my life that way.
Like when I see the older people like working at the grocery stores, I'm like,
I know, I'm like, I have to tell myself that you just needed the human companionship here.
yes,
I hate to think that this is absolutely
that
necessary
you
and that you're
have to do
miserable,
this. Yeah,
but it's often true.
it's very true, especially nowadays.
Yeah, things just have
Changed
Totally.
significantly.
totally.
And my husband, he's so funny. We're so different with how him and I spend money. I'm very like, not tight pocket, like all like trips, no issue. But like when it comes to like little knickknacks and this and that, no. But then like good restaurants, yes.
Oh yeah, you
And-
have like a value system behind it.
Yeah. And so he'll be like, we are doing fine. Just get it. I'm like, nope.
The reason I can do the things I care about is because I don't do this crap.
Yes. Yes. So it's an interesting dynamic between him and I, because we value things differently. I mean, he values food the same way. Like a good restaurant, he values
That yeah, my husband and I are on the same page with that as well, and I'm like, thank God, because
Mhm.
it's such an absurd thing to spend money on. But well, I don't feel that way. I feel like I love spending money on that, but
I'm a foodie.
I can't really argue with people that are like, what on earth is wrong with you? Like, you could have gone to the grocery store and fed yourself for a month on what you just did here. But we like super treated ourselves when we had his mom and my mom and my stepdad here over the holidays.
Okay.
So on one of the nights, they took the boys to like some Christmas light walk, something or other.
Love
We
it.
don't have much by way of babysitters,
Same.
and because you have to like get them on the internet and then interview them, and like
Process.
I have one that I trust that I can call upon. But if she's not available, it's just like, well, we're out then, because I don't have a backlog
Yeah.
collected. Plus my kids like reject babysitters, which is I think a product of I haven't had enough of them throughout their life. But my
Same.
goodness, the finicky 5-year-old, she's delightful, but my goodness, do I get a whole detailed report of everything she did wrong, down to like she pronounced some of the words wrong in the book that he's reading
Oh.
at bedtime. And it's not like real words, it'll be like the last name of a character. And like nobody knows how to say that word. And he's like, she does it wrong, Mom.
Totally
Like,
wrong.
she cannot come back. And when she's
Mm-mm.
gonna come back, she like, well, how'd she do taking care of Oliver? And he'll be like, well, medium, because it was good, and then she couldn't find his monitor, and she gave up looking for it. Can you believe it? I'm like,
Oh my gosh, that is.
so he like super tattles, which
You
On the
like.
one hand, I was waiting for this because I never got him a babysitter when he was so young that he couldn't talk, because I hated this idea that I can't know what kind of experience they had, because there's just so many creepy people in the world. And so I like it that he's capable of this, but wow, is it a more
He's into
dramatic
it.
version than I ever imagined.
He's into it.
And then the 2-year-old, like, doesn't have complex thoughts, but they're so funny. Like, we had the babysitter like a month or so ago, and I was like, Oliver, did you have fun with Maddie? And all he kept saying was, Maddie, go poop. And I was like, oh my god, Maddie would die if she knew that you were like,
Oh my god.
like, I'm sure she maybe did have to poop while she was babysitting you. That's allowed, but like,
Oh my god.
I can just hear, because he likes to join you in the bathroom, and I can't imagine that he like used boundaries for her.
For sure.
So she probably was saying to him like, I need some privacy,
Yeah,
like
you
I'll be
go
out in a couple minutes.
bathroom.
And so yeah, he just kept repeating, Maddie, go poop. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Oh my god, kids.
the words of kids, exactly. But anyway, so we had our parents in town, so we got reservations to, I don't know like what our Michelin scene is officially, like I get confused by it
Yeah.
because there's like amounts of stars and types of stars, but we found one that had 1 star
Okay.
and another one for like greenness,
Yep.
conservation. And so it's downtown, it's this place called Bruto,
Yes.
and we went there with like further justify, because it's very expensive, and it was super fun, but we were like, all right, since our parents are here, we aren't paying $30 an hour for a babysitter, so that's like a couple $100 that we're not spending, so we can like add to the guilt freeness of that.
I love it.
And like the per head cost, we were like, okay, that's a lot, but that's fine. And then you get there and they're like, do you want to add the like very curated drink pairings to the whole thing, and to like double it? So we're like, yes, let's just do all that.
Get it
Let's
in.
just like
Yeah.
have the whole experience. So we had like the most outrageous restaurant bill of all time, but it was like such a crazy. I mean, it's not even like you're not having like a normal, like you're not ordering. They're just bringing
Yeah.
you.
Food.
Yeah, they're like, here's this adventure, and somebody will like do a presentation on it in front of you. It was so cool.
Yeah, but it's an experience.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And we left thinking like, I think about once a year is the right
Yeah.
cadence for this level.
For sure.
Like I love to go to like nicer restaurants where you do order, like it's expensive, but this was like,
a different level.
yeah, and
It's
you
like
don't,
that up level.
yeah, you don't even know like what you're gonna have when you show up. Like,
You're just rolling with it.
yeah, whatever they bring.
Yeah.
And you're kind of at a bar top because it's a whole tasting type experience.
Yeah.
So you don't really do this to like go talk to each other.
You know,
You're like at a show.
that's exactly it. Yeah, the entertainment, the experience, like you're just in it.
Totally. So that was really fun.
I love that for you guys.
Yeah, we don't do many like date type things. So that was like go
That
big or
should
go
be
home, I guess.
Well, and I think it's so important to date our husbands because I've seen so many clients get divorces once those kids are raised
Oh
because
yeah,
they've fallen out of love, you know?
totally. Takes a lot of work.
We're just gonna tip out a few little pieces and then we're done.
Cool.
So I was the worst kid with babysitters. So let's see. We had the fire department called multiple times. I loved My Little Ponies. I was on My Little Pony.
Oh
kid.
yeah.
And I would stick them in a space heater.
Oh my gosh.
Only with the babysitter.
Holy cow. So you were like an actual, like you're gonna burn your house down
Absolutely.
to punish your parents for giving you this babysitter.
For leaving me. Yeah. And our babysitter was also, because we rode horses, she was my instructor. So it's not like she was this
Oh my
foreign
gosh.
babysitter. We
It's
knew
like
her.
the mere fact that you are being babysat. You're like, hard no.
Yep, we're not doing that. And I still have
So
images
funny.
from back in the day of,
I can just like smell your pony plastic burning.
yes. And I remember like firefighters coming into the house. And I was like, oh, hi.
Welcome.
Welcome. And then I would take My Little Ponies and I'd put them into the toilets.
Oh my gosh.
And like flush, flush, flush.
And you're like, don't mind me, just punishing my parents.
So they're in trouble. They should never leave me alone.
I'll show them. Kids are just so wily.
I was a wild kid. Like, we had our garage door, and I made so much money on that garage door. And my dad couldn't figure why we kept going through so many. So what I would do is I remember I had this Crown Royal bag from my dad's whiskey or something, and I collect money from the neighborhood kids. And I go and I press the button and they hold on to the garage and they get a ride up.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was like a quarter a ride.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
That's so entrepreneurial.
Right?
Entrepreneurial?
Yeah.
That's a hard word to say.
And then, let's see, my parents had just freshly gotten our house painted. And there was still paint on the side of the house. So our trim was white and the house was like a blue. So I didn't like the blue. I went and got the tub of white and just started painting.
Oh my gosh. You're like, I'll fix this.
I'm like, this needs to be adjusted.
I really like the spirit behind all that, but like, what a nightmare for the parents of this behavior.
I was a lot. Like, I remember another time, my mom wouldn't let me put on a dress she bought for me at the mall. I was stripped butt naked to go for me.
Oh my gosh.
At the mall.
You're like, I will show you.
And then I had a dog that was like my best friend, and I wanted to go outside and play, and they wouldn't let me go outside and play. And so I learned that there was the garage door opener. I couldn't reach it in the garage, but if I went into the car, I could open the garage. So I would go into the garage, into the car, press the opener, and take off running down the neighborhood.
Oh my
At
gosh.
like 5 years old.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, I was a nightmare.
But it's encouraging though, because like, you turned out great.
Right.
So it doesn't indicate, as long as you can keep them alive, it doesn't indicate any like long-term problems.
No. If anything, I think it like showed because I'm such a driven individual.
Yeah.
I think I didn't let anything get in my way, and it kind of showed that. I was like, this is in my way, we're going to get rid of it. And that still proves like today.
And there's like this saying of like, who you are at 10 is who you are forever.
Yes.
Which is probably true even younger.
Yep.
So I think it's good because all the compliance you want out of small children, you then like want them to stop that in adulthood, and it's like that's not super realistic.
Right.
Like if they're challenging you and questioning you and asking why, it's like these are actually healthy ways for them to be in the world.
It's really healthy. And I think it's looking at it like that versus like this kid's just a troublemaker sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, gorgeous. Well, you're set. So you're gonna process for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Can I grab you anything at all?
I think I'm fine.
Okay. And feel free to move freely. All of your coils are secure on your head.
Okay.
Do you need the Wi-Fi at all?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. So it's gonna be Image Studios Guest. Will be it.
I'm gonna put it in my notes so I can use it on multiple devices. So Image Studios Guest.
Yep. And then it's very easy. It's just welcome with a capital W and an exclamation mark.